Welcome to another episode of the Wood Couture podcast, recorded live at Downtown Design. We are here with David Chickens, and we are so pleased to have him, and we're very excited to hear all about what's in store for him. Welcome to the show, David.
Thank you so much, Filippo. How are you?
Absolute pleasure. Great. Also, thanks to our friend at LASVIT for this incredible opportunity to host the Wood Couture podcast live here at LASVIT stand. So my first question to David is, everybody's curious to know what you're up to, what's going on in your world.
Absolutely. So I've actually chosen the very worst of times, which is COVID, to start my own studio. So as a lot of people know, I've been with HBA, I've been a partner with HBA for 13 years, a big chunk of my career, and so I decided that I wanted to get back to my roots of designing. I'm an interior designer by training, and that's what I wanted to do. So I've decided to retire from my position and say, let's go for a new adventure and start something new. We have a new studio. It's now completed. In the past 8 months, we've grown to 10 people, and we currently have work in 4 different countries. So we're quite busy. It's quite great.
Still focusing on doing masterpieces.
Absolutely.
Which is your specialty?
Well, look, I'm a hospitality designer, right? And so in hospitality design, there's basically 2 things that I want to do. I want to do luxury, because that's what I've been doing for the past 20 years, but I also want to do lifestyle, and the reason why is because I have nothing against any other type of hospitality design, but I feel what is very important to me is to tell a story. I want the guest to have an experience, something which is unique for every single project. And so that's why I decided, okay, well, let's refocus on what I'm doing. Let's go smaller scale, and let's go into, one of the reasons why I've named the studio my name is because I'm personally involved into the creative process of every single project. So it's very exciting. We're doing pieces of palaces, we're doing guest rooms in the mountains, we're doing standalone restaurants, we're going to start very soon our first full scope hotel. So very excited, in such a short amount of time.
Looking forward to that. Now, the theme of this year Downtown Design is sustainability. How sustainability play a role in your day-to-day?
Okay, I think that, sustainability, it's been, and the brackets, the trend for, the past few years. But I think today, everybody needs to understand that we have no choice but to be sustainable. It's part of what we do. It's not just in terms of the business, it's in terms of what we do on a daily basis. There's David at home, where David doesn't want to leave the light turned on, in the living room if David is not in the living room. But there's also in the studio, for example, we don't have a printer. We do everything digital. In the library, we don't have a single catalog, written catalog. Everything is online, is on servers. Our business cards, for example, we don't print them anymore, right? We do everything digital, so that's a way to be sustainable. Now, in the business, in our day-to-day, in the projects that we create, one of the things that we do is and it's actually written in my contracts, is that I want 90% of what I do to be locally sourced, which is very complicated, right? We do work in countries where there's not much. Right, so it's a little bit of a balance, and it's a challenge for some projects. But I would have to say, overall, it's when we specify something, the wood, for example, of a table. Why would it come from the other side of the planet if locally there is wood, right? You have to have the knowledge to understand how you produce, how you manufacture, how you transform the wood and everything. But working with local suppliers, working with international suppliers which have a local footprint, all of that very important for me. Where I believe really that sustainability is it's got to be a mindset. It's a way of thinking. It cannot be it's not the flavor of the moment where, okay, the trend is today that you have to be sustainable.
Brilliant. So you're very proactive, let's say. You don't wait for people to tell you, I want sustainability. You do it.
Exactly.
Excellent.
Yes.
Now, the last 2 years has been, let's say, 2 incredible years for design, for our lives and for everybody. What's your biggest takeaways of this?
I would say actually humility. I think, look, I've started a new business in the midst of a pandemic, so there's a little bit of crazy in me. But I think you have to be humble, and at the same time, understand that you're not alone on the planet. It's something that affected absolutely everyone, and I think it was very important that you take care of. I was managing, right, in my previous position at HBA. I was managing an entire team during the toughest time. Like, one client after the other calls you, the project is stopping. How do you pay the salaries? Like, the borders are closed. I mean, it's very complicated to deal for everyone. But be resilient, diversify, right? Not approach the same thing every single time the same way, and be flexible. Be flexible with your clients, be flexible with your teams, be flexible with your suppliers, be flexible with every single situation. And I think that, the best example, we've started the new studio 8 months ago. Like I said, we're 10 people with projects in 4 different countries. So, yes, it's COVID, but at the same time, why not?
So, big problem on one side, great opportunity on the other.
Exactly.
Fantastic. Now, what design trend do you see coming up in 2022?
Well, I would say that, we were just talking about sustainability and the fact of being a trend. I actually think that wellness and the perception of wellness and natural elements, natural materials, all of that's going to be a big new trend, which I think it starts as a trend because it's cool to do so, but I think that people will realize in the future that you actually need to do so. So I think that it's not about, I'm in hospitality, so it's not about, what is the flavor of this year, because a hotel takes 3, 4, 5 years to build, right? So it's not about, when you design a hotel, it's not about thinking what is trendy tomorrow, it's what about is trendy in 5 years' time when the hotel opens. But I think in terms of mindset and what's going to be new to the market is the concept that people can no longer go for everything and anything. You have to be selective, you have to be take what nature gives you and use what nature gives you in a humble way. I think that that's the biggest trend in terms of how it relates to wellness as well. It's the inner peace. It's not just about wellness as in being in a spa and having a good massage. It's about what the atmosphere, what kind of things you create, how you respect the environment, how you respect the people that are around you. I think all of that's the biggest trend that is going to come.
So in 2022, people have modified their relationship with work, life, and socializing. What role does lighting plays into this context?
I think that lighting is a key component of our environments. Not just interiors as what I do, interior design. The lighting creates the mood that you have around you. Obviously, if in your room, which is very brightly lit, and you're a room where everything is very moody, well, your persona, your feels will be completely different. So I think that the past 2 years have been challenging for everybody on this planet, and I think that creating an environment, and you've actually seen that worldwide, there's been a spike in interest for interior design for people who say, look, I want to be in an environment which is the best possible, the most comfortable possible. So I think light is a key component.
You are an artist, because obviously you create masterpieces, you create bespoke environment, creations, something that is unique for each place you design.
Yeah.
And suddenly you have a client that comes in and boom, value engineering.
Yeah.
What's your views about this?
I love it. I love value engineering. I love value engineering because I know that it's part of a project.
Right.
It's actually one of the things, again, that I put in my contracts, where I tell my client, I want to be part of the value engineering. Don't go and take my design and get it executed, halfway by somebody else without my control, because I have designed something and I know the spirit of what I've designed. If you go and dilute it, then it's gone. Why did you come and hire me, right? So basically, I'm saying, get me part of it. I will make sure that the flair and the look and feel of what I've designed, it doesn't matter what your budget is, I will make it happen. But I want to be part of it.
Some of your industry colleagues take value engineering as
an insult?
Yeah, chopping my design. So how do you respond to that?
No, I disagree with that, because I think the design is not about, a certain specific detail or a certain specific material. A design is about an atmosphere that you've created. It's about a narrative. Remember, I said one of the things that I focus on is luxury and lifestyle because of a narrative. So the narrative, the story, the guest experience that you create, whether you're spending 10 millions or 8.5 millions, the result should be the same thing. That's my job. It's not about give me more money to execute. I mean, obviously I'd love to have more money to execute, but I mean, it's the reality of the business. We are into hospitality. Hospitality design is all about making the most of what we can with what we are being given by our client and by the brand.
Now, obviously, our friend at LASVIT been very generous to give us the space to do the interview. What is LASVIT added value, in your opinion?
Look, I've been working with LASVIT for at least 10 years. I've worked with them on so many projects in so many parts of the world. I remember Raffles in Jakarta. I remember Kempinski in Beirut. I remember Great Scotland Yard in London. I've worked on so many projects with them. Their mindset is such that they understand that right balance between the technical part, the creative part, the look and feel part, and the story that you're trying to achieve by giving solutions. And I think being so open-minded about what they can do, and it's a little bit like when I approach a project or any of my projects, they're all completely different. Well, LASVIT does the same thing. Every single project for them is different, and I think there's a lot of synergy in the way that we approach the projects.
So we're coming to an end of our discussion. I will stay here all day with you because it's very inspiring,
Thank you.
And I love it, you really speak the truth,
Yes.
controversial,
Yes.
honest, and
Yes.
straight to the point, which is brilliant.
I've always been told I'm black and white.
There is no gray in your
No,
design.
there is no gray.
So, Father, if I put a massive white canvas on top of Burj Khalifa, what message would you write on it?
I would say respect each other.
Nice one.
That would be, I think the foundation of everything should be consider the person next to you. It's very important. I mean, you and I can view things differently. It doesn't matter. I mean, human nature is such that we're all different. But I think we are all here on the same planet, and we are all here to live and work together. So let's just make it work.
Dear David, respect to you.
Thank you very much.